So what's the most useful tool in my shop? My table saw? My jointer? My CNC? Me? Well, the answer is none of these. The most useful tool in my shop is my 3D printer. And in today's video, I'm going to convince you to buy one. And if you already have a 3D printer, well, maybe I'm going to show you a whole new way to use your 3D printer in your shop. So let's get started. First, let's briefly touch on some concerns that keep a lot of people from entering the world of 3D printing. 1, aren't 3D printers expensive? The short answer is no. 3D printing tech has come a long way, and you can get an adequate entry-level 3D printer for about 150 to 200 bucks. And the prosumer 3D printers are about $1,000 to $1,200. 2, aren't they finicky and hard to set up? Again, no, not really. 3D printers are no different than most tools you buy for your shop. The more you spend, the less headaches you'll probably encounter. That said, the printer that I've been using, and I like so much that I've ordered 2, is the Anycubic Cobra 2. For 260 bucks, it sports a great print speed. You can set it up in about 15 minutes. And it has a few of the features that some of the prosumer 3D printers have that make dialing in a 3D printer much easier. 3, won't I have to learn 3D design to use it? Nope. Now, don't get me wrong, I encourage everyone to learn Fusion 360 at some point, but by no means is it necessary to utilize a 3D printer effectively. The 3D printing community is so vast now, there are literally thousands of 3D models out there for download, the majority of them being free. Now that we covered a few concerns about getting a 3D printer, let's talk about why a 3D printer is the most useful tool in my shop. To keep this video moving smoothly, I'm going to break it down into 4 categories or sections. Section 1, shop enhancement. Candidly, I will not be able to do this section justice, but I'll try. The 3D printing community is full of very smart individuals, and a lot of them are DIYers just like you or me. So inventing things to make shop life better is a pretty common thing. I'll cover a few things that my 3D printer has helped with in enhancing my shop. Organization. There are a ton of models out there that will help you organize your shop. This honeycomb wall organizer, literally thousands of different ones made for particular tools or a type of tool, and they're all free. All free. This is all free. Well, that's not free, and that's not free, but you know. The 3D print files are free. This sandpaper organizer, super cool. You got your 220, 180, 150, 120, 180. There's a bunch of different ones. That's the sandpaper that I use, so those are the ones that I printed, but you can add a bunch of other ones, and guess what? All free. This little paper towel holder, just kind of whoop, boom. And then when you got a new roll, just go ahead and pick it up, boom. All free. This Gridfinity box, there's a ton of different modular configurations. I have just these simple little bins printed, and they do nest into each other. 100% 3D printed. The hinges are 3D printed. These latches are 3D printed. All 3D printed and free. The Glue Daddy Caddy. It's pretty much in the name. It's for carrying all your glue stuff. It's a standard 16-ounce bottle. Got a comb here, a silly tray with the roller, and a bunch of spots to put different brushes and things like that. I designed this, and I'll be giving the design out for free, so check the description. And who doesn't love a good jig? There are a ton of jigs available for download. Pegboard jigs, dovetail cutting jigs, center finding jigs. I actually made a jig that time I was making those lights, and I needed to drill a hole right down the center of a dowel. Loads of jigs out there to 3D print. Tools. Now, a word of caution about 3D printing tools. If your 3D printer is not dialed in and you don't account for shrinkage, you may have less than ideal results. That said, I've had great results with printing simple little tools like this little bench mountable vise. It's great for small pieces you need to sand, or little circuit boards that you may need to hold while the soldering. And guess what? It's all free. These corner clamps that can really be made any size you want, and they're super strong. And I know what you're wondering. Good enough for me. I even 3D printed some table saw inserts for my unisaw. Again, a ton of options out there if you want to 3D print some tools. Section 2, prototyping. Wood is expensive. It is much cheaper to try something on a 3D printer before committing to making it out of wood. One example that comes to mind are these knobs I printed for the flip-top tool cart. Woohoo! Yee-hoo! Woohoo! Now, like most prototypes, these ended up staying permanently, but the first ones I printed were way too small and these little grippy bits were way too close together and it was just overall uncomfortable to use. But since I 3D printed them, I was only out a buck or two and the 5 hours that it took to print the set. Which brings me to another point. 3D print prototypes really don't take that much of your time. Sure, you have to spend the time to design it, but if you're anything like me, you're gonna do that for the CNC anyways. Who am I kidding? I'm a hack. But the wood still has to be prepped before you can put it on the CNC, and you still have to generate tool paths for the CNC to follow. And if you don't have a CNC, you could be out hours making wood prototypes by hand. Again, that's a long way of saying, if you make prototypes, you need a 3D printer. Before I get to the third section of this video, I'd really like to give a shout out to Lee over at Busted Knuckle Woodworks.
Hi everybody, hola amigos, Lee here from Busted Knuckle Woodworks.
He is a huge supporter of me and my content, and he makes great content himself. He recently did a video that showcased some smaller woodworking channels here on YouTube.
Is that copper wire? The f is this sorcery? Oh that turned out nice.
The video was hilarious and I think you'll get a kick out of it too. Anyways, back to selling you a 3D printer. Section 3, project enhancements. There are a lot of talented individuals in this whole woodworking community, but I would say most of them cannot get to the level of detail that a 3D printer can. Sure, most of us can make a pretty good circle. We can cut the occasional square. Heck, we may even be able to whittle a little something. But carve this? Not I. But look how good it looks on this little chest I made for my son. 3D printers can really take a project up a few notches when used properly. Section 4, final products. Now really this section may not apply to everyone out there, and I know it can be really difficult to hear. I mean, we are woodworkers, right? What are we if we don't make things out of wood? A maker? Blech, gross. Well, the simple truth is that sometimes wood just isn't the right medium for the job.
Poop! Poop mouth! Poop out of your mouth!
There's a reason that over 390 million metric tons of plastic is produced annually. Is it cheaper than wood? Yeah, most of the time. But when the correct plastic is used, it often leaves a more durable end product than wood. I mean, come on, if you've ever used a polyurethane finish, then you've covered your wood in plastic. And don't even get me started on these epoxy river tables out there. Try and make this out of wood. Anyways, I think you get it. All this talk of plastic is making me hungry. Speaking of hungry, if you're hungry for more of my content, be sure to subscribe. And why not watch this video while you're at it? Bye!